Well, good morning. I wanted to call this meeting to order, and it's a forum. It's a forum by Democrats on the Resources Committee as the discussion. And first of all, let me thank all the witnesses. It was somewhat short notice, but centered to everything that's happening with the shutdown and the very bad consequences it's having across our nation. And not taking for granted at all the 800,000 plus potentially hundreds of thousands of other employees that work for contractors that are not furloughed and are not expecting any back pay, but everyone, and the effect on those families in particular, but the effect overall. And center to this whole discussion, why we're in the middle of this shutdown, center to it, and certainly the president has made that his point, that without it, the wall, that issues involved here, security, what the rationale behind this wall, of which is in the minds of many of us, and certainly the majority in the House of Representatives, non-existent. But we persist. We're going on to we are now in the longest shutdown of this country. And it's all, I think, done out of almost an obsessive mythology is being created around the issue of the wall by Trump and others. And so we felt that as this discussion expand, and given the jurisdiction of this committee, which is our parks and our assets as a country, our public lands, and talk about that wall. I remember when, and this is not a new phenomenon to any of our witnesses and many of you here, and certainly not to myself and to Mr. Sablan, who's been on this committee for a while. In 2005, the Secure Fence Act, and it was originally in the draft that my Republican colleagues were putting together, encompassed all borders, north, it encompassed the West Coast and the East Coast, and essentially the secure fence affected the entire perimeter of the United States of America. Well, there was some obvious backlash to that, and dropped from it were the border with Canada, dropped from the Secure Fence Act was the coastlines, and left was the southern border with Mexico. And here we are. And as the discussion around the broken system of immigration that we all agree is broken, the mythology by this president and some of his allies in Congress, like Steve King, continue to persist. This wall was it, that its symbolism was too important, and that we were going to do it regardless. And now we're in this shutdown. And I wanted to call you, people that have worked on this issue on the southern border, work with communities on the southern border, represent communities as the vice chairman does on the southern border, and come in and talk directly to us, because this is part of the conversation. The impact this wall is having on communities, on our environment, on our public lands, on our culture, our history, and all that being done in the name of a myth. And so I hope we want to enlighten our colleagues here in Congress as well as the general public that there's a perspective on the wall, its impacts on the environment, its impact on communities that need to be heard as well by those most affected by the discussion that's going on in Washington and this shutdown.